Hey, what's going on, everybody? Alright, so one of the fascinations that I have is watching the NBA, and particularly watching the situation with the Lakers, how that all is going to play out. And at the current moment, the question is whether or not LeBron's injury is really going to play that much of an impact. Obviously, it will, on their playoff opportunities. Prior to that, though, LeBron was not the only story that was out there. The story was Russell Westbrook, but it was not just Russell alone in that situation. It was more so Skip Bayless's commentary on Russell Westbrook. Now, if you know about how everything took place, then you know Russell was traded to the Lakers. It did not work out. Everyone said it was a bad fit. I said it was a bad fit. I believe every commentator on the planet said it was a bad fit. On the second year, though, of his contract, I believe it was a better fit when Russell was coming off the bench. But that's not what we're talking about today. Russell was traded over from one LA team to another LA team. So he went directly from LeBron to Kawhi. So why are we talking about Russell Westbrook again now? Well, somehow, you would figure, I have rarely seen the Clippers covered in the news unless it was something crazy, Kawhi gets an injury, or Skip Bayless or Stephen A, one of those guys decides to cover them because, there's a Lakers-Clippers game on, or Paul George goes down, or they're anticipating a new trade, or something along those lines. In this case, the latter is the situation. Russell was traded from LeBron to Kawhi, so Russell is currently playing for the Clippers. But Kawhi's not injured, Paul George is not injured, Russell's not injured, but somehow the Clippers are back in the news. Well, it's not even that relevant of an issue, but there's just something that I was listening to because I love listening to Undisputed, I love listening to ESPN and hearing the commentary, and then of course you hear people's perspectives and their own biases coming out, but nonetheless you generally walk away a little bit more informed than you were beforehand. So I was listening to Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe going back and forth as they were talking about the Clippers, because right now, as they have traded for Russell, they currently are standing at an 0-3 record. Now I'm going to use a term, and hopefully everybody knows what I mean by this, okay? The term is scapegoat. That term alone could be understood a few different ways, but traditionally, if you talk about Bible days, it was a goat that was sent into the wilderness after the priest had symbolically laid the sins of the people on this goat, and then it was sent out into the wilderness to remove the sins from the city and from the people. That was what it traditionally meant. Now, in today's modern days, it is a person who takes on all of the wrongdoings on behalf of everyone else. So in the same sense, this person takes on the burden of everyone. Symbolically, I guess you could say that they're crucified on behalf of everyone else. And it would seem that beyond just being a basketball player, this has been Russell Westbrook's role. Listen, so Skip Bayless made some commentary, and I'm gonna play this commentary. I'm not gonna play the video because copyright. But we're just gonna play this out, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna react to it. Okay? So here we go.
At least we got y'all didn't have LeBron, so okay, y'all didn't have your primary ball handler. Yeah. You got careless with the ball, 26 turnovers. You had your primary ball handlers. You had 24 turnovers, Skip. And there was enough to go down. Yeah, Russ had 4, Paul George had 3, Kawhi had 3, Nicholas Batum had 4, and then Nick Batum really should have 3. Because he passes the ball to Norman Powell. Norman Powell is yelling at the official, and the ball go right by his head.
And Batum was not happy.
He's like, what are you
not happy?
He's like, bro, yeah. What you doing?
No, not happy.
He had lost his little things like that, Skip.
Yeah.
Missing defensive assignments. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not going to put all this on Russ, but Skip, all of a sudden, like, Russ going to be so, he was playing with the wrong Los Angeles team. He's Russell Westbrook. He is what he is.
Or isn't.
Oh, and you keep trying to make him something that he's not.
Yeah.
He's an
I don't know who you is. I don't, but maybe Twitter does or somebody.
Well, sometimes I think you're overly critical of Russ. But he's an inefficient, turnover-prone point guard. That's what he is.
Kind of an oxymoron. Inefficient, turnover-prone point guard.
Well, that's his title. Whether he's a point guard or not, that's his title.
Paul George calls him, we needed a floor general. A floor general? A floor private?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
A general? I don't get general. Help me out.
Yeah, I don't get the general. You might be talking about the Shaq commercial, the general.
Yeah,
that's what you might be talking about.
That one. Okay. Another one I first guessed. I said the Clippers are doomed. I think their pride got to them. Pride goeth before the fall, as the Bible says. I think they looked from the basement up into the upstairs at the crypt and said, if the Lakers failed with him, we're going to show the Lakers we can do it.
Right.
We got Ty Lue at coach. Ty Lue will figure this out. You can't figure him out. Russell Westbrook is simply more trouble than he's worth. He will do some great things, seriously great things. He did some great things last night. He's done a few little great things in all 3 of his games.
Right.
More trouble than he's worth, because he will do some other things that make him the equivalent to me of a human cloud. Like the cloud just hangs over the team, because you know and I know the turnovers he makes are psychologically debilitating. They're demoralizing because they're so bad for a slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer to make that the whole team sits back and says, my God, what is he thinking?
Right.
Well, he's not thinking. And he was born with, I guess, because he's got the worst pair of point guard hands I've ever seen. He just can't hang on to the basketball. But he has greatness in him because he plays so hard. But in the end, he plays harder for Russ than for the team. He's more of a me than a we. He is a stat machine of a solo act of a stat machine, because he can put up numbers. Look, the numbers last night, they're pretty good.
14, 10, and 7.
Okay, 14, 10, and 7. 7 and 10.
Okay, so if you heard everything that was being stated, maybe you picked up what my issue is with this, because it's the equivalent of someone saying really good things about you and then ending every sentence with the words, but. He played efficiently, but he's a solo act of a stat machine. He shot 60% from the 3, but he got 4 turnovers. Never mind the fact that everyone else got about 2 to 4 turnovers themselves. He'll give you some great moments here and there, but the very presence of this guy being around the whole team just brings the team down. He might not play in the 4th quarter or an overtime game, but him not standing up and cheering when Kawhi's knocking down a bunch of 3s, that's the reason why they lost. You see, he's demoralizing. I would say that this is personal, but this is not personal. This is not personal. Stephen A. Kyrie Irving? Maybe. Shaq and Dwight? Definite. Scottie and Jordan? Definitely personal. Skip and Russell Westbrook? This is not personal. This is about views. You see, a thumbnail with Russell Westbrook on it, with Skip Bayless' name attached, and you know Skip is the one commenting on Undisputed, is good for views. This is why, even though a team that barely gets any coverage, like the Clippers, unless there's something crazy that happened, such as an injury, or such as a crazy trade, they somehow have managed to find themselves in the news over and over on this particular show. It's because Russell Westbrook's mess-ups is good for ratings. That's all this is. And so, you can actually plan 2 types of animals on Russell at this point, right? In one case, you could call him a scapegoat, but in the next case, in terms of ratings, you could also call him a golden goose. Honestly, the best thing Russell could have done for himself to get out of the public eye was to go to a non-championship prospecting team. As long as he's on a team where they had championship aspects, he's gonna continue to get this kind of clout, especially if it's in LA. And as long as Skip Bayless is around, Skip well knows that Russell, when he's not talking about LeBron, Russ will always be his go-to, even when the man plays well. And in this case, it's funny, if you check his stats, he actually might have played the best on the entire team, in comparison to the rest of the team. I mean, minus the turnovers, the guy had a pretty solid game. So while Skip and Shannon can bark around and say that they're not going to place all of the blame on Russ, they know exactly what they're doing. And it's actually really unfortunate because you're seeing firsthand how media can have a full effect on somebody's career. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what it is you guys think, whether or not you also thought that Russell had a solid game, or you thought, no, Russell is inefficient. He's a solo active, what does he call him? A solo active, a stat machine? Do you think he's just a doomed player? Do you think he's just a dark cloud that hovers over every single team, just bringing all the team morale down? Or do you think maybe, Skip and Shannon are full of it? Whatever it is you guys think, let me know, and I will see you again for the next one. Be easy, y'all.